and today it's time for our second lesson in my Mosaic Crochet Guide for Beginners. Last time I showed you how to work the basic stitches, which are insanely easy, like you will hopefully have known if you've seen that. And today I wanted to show you how to work with my charts. And so so I really like to work with visual charts instead of written patterns. I do try to make all my patterns both written and in charts, but some are just charts. So, but it's really user friendly, and I'm going to show you how to make the first pattern of my Indiana Afghan. And so today we are going to make this little swatch here. And it's really easy and fun to do. And once you get the hang of the charts, it's really, well, at least that was for me. I mean, I would way prefer the charts to the written instructions. Once, you know, when you know how to decipher them, which is really easy, then you are hooked, hopefully. So I just want to show you my Indiana Afghan here. So the Indiana Afghan comes with 7 patterns, and today I'm going to show you just the first one. This one here, sort of like zigzag or wavy lines, yeah. And the pattern is available, like all my patterns, in my Ravelry store, which you will find the link in the description below. If you need some help with my patterns, please consider joining my Facebook group, Tina's Crochet Club. You'll also find the link to that in the description below. And yeah, I'm just really excited to continue with our lessons, and I just want to show you a couple of more possibilities what you can do with Mosaic Crochet before we get started. I have here work in progress, my Tule, which I very much like, but it's growing quite slowly because it's on hook, on a 3mm hook and fingering weight yarn, but still I love it. And do not worry about the ends. Actually, lesson 3 in the Mosaic Crochet Beginner's Guide that I'm doing will be how to do the double border. And I'm just going to show you that one here quickly. This is my Casablanca, and so all the ends are sandwiched inside the double border, and that will be the next class, you guys. So this is the baby Casablanca. This is the big Casablanca. Whoop. As you can see, I like vibrant colors. And then I also have my Alta blanket here, which I want to show you, which is just little waves. This was like a little baby blanket. And here's the other option, obviously, for all the ends, is just to do the twisted fringe, which can be really fun. And I thought that was perfect for this one, actually, because I thought, you know, it's a baby blanket, so it's fun for the babies to have something to grab onto, yeah? But I have the tutorial already up on how to do the twisted fringe, and the double border will be lesson number 3. But today it's lesson number 2, and it's how to read my charts, which are really super easy. And I can't wait to show you guys. Again, if you have any comments or input or what you would like to see next, or if I should be doing anything like differently, I'm really open to that, and I always love getting your guys' comments. It's just great fun. So I think that's it. Let's get to it. Okay, so time for lesson 2 of the Mosaic Crochet Beginner Guide. So today, what I want to show you is how to read the Mosaic Crochet charts. And they are actually, well, this is the way I do them anyways. So they are really easy and user-friendly to work with. And I way prefer working with charts than with written patterns, but I do try to do both in my patterns, but some are just chart patterns actually. So the way that they work is that each box here represents 1 stitch. And here in the first column, then you have just the number of the rows, yeah? And in the end here, you have the color, A or B, because it's always 2 colors when working with Mosaic Crochet. And yeah, please check out my first lesson for the technique and the basics. This is part 2. So, and then these here, you can see the key, the symbol key here. So when the box is empty, then you work a single crochet stitch there. And when there is an X in the box, then you work a double crochet there. And then we have these 2 symbols here, which is this one here in the beginning, which is the border stitch at the beginning of row, and then the border stitch at the end of the row. And usually the way that I will put up my patterns, the charts, is that I will do, this is one repetition here, you see, but I will usually, if I can, I will do like include a second one so that you see what it should look like. And so this is one repetition, and then there's a second repetition, and then here at the end we have actually one extra stitch to make it symmetrical. Yeah. So I'm gonna show you how to work with my charts using this pattern, the first pattern of my Indiana blanket, and that's the way that looks when it's crocheted. And you could make whatever with this. You could make a blanket with just this pattern, or pillows, or what have you. So to crochet along with me, you will need 2 balls of yarn. I recommend using light colors so that you can easily see your stitches, something that you're comfortable working with. You can use whatever. I'm using iron weight here and a hook, 4.5mm hook, and then you will need scissors as well. So let us get started. And so for the Indiana pattern 1, it's always a 12 stitch repeats, and I'm going to do 2 repeats with you just to get a nice swatch so you can see. And so you would always, if you're going to make a bigger one, then you would just use a multiplication of 12 stitches. So you can do 24, or you can do 36, etc. Always a multiplication of 12 stitches, and then you add 4 extra stitches to that when you chain up. So we're going to start here now by chaining up 28 chains. And for this here, we're always using 2 colors in Mosaic Crochet. And for color A here, I'm using white, and for color B, blue, just exactly the same as in the chart actually. So let us get started. And to make your swatch, you will need to start by chaining 28 chains. That's 28 chains I've got here, and hopefully you have the same. And we're going to go on to row 1. Okay, so when we start, then you can see here, this is row 1, and it says then 1 border stitch at the beginning of the row, and then all the boxes are blank. And if the boxes are blank, that means that there is a single crochet stitch there. So all the stitches in row 1 are actually single crochet stitches. And we did 28 chains. And in this first row, then we're going to do 27 single crochets because we can't go into the first one here. Yeah. So just go into the second chain from your hook and start working your single crochet stitches there. 1 single crochet into each stitch. Okay, now I'm to the up to the end here now, just 1 more. So this will be number 27, but obviously if you're making a blanket, then you can make it longer. Just always a repetition of your final stitch count should be a repetition of 12 stitches and +3, because we already, it was +4 in the chaining up, but then we skipped 1 chain here in the beginning. So this is 2 times 12 plus 3 extra stitches for row 1. And at the end of the row, like I already showed you in Mosaic Crochet, we're always working from the front. So now we just cut, and then we do 1 chain here at the end and pull it all the way up and fasten it nice and tight, because we're not going to be working into this chain. This is just to get a bit of extra security here at the end. So that was row 1, just 27 single crochet stitches, nice and easy. On to row 2, and if we look at the chart again now, I actually really like to put these post-its to see where I'm at, and I will put them on the top here. So whoop, up. Just put them like this, and then you can see the row that you're working. Yeah, so this is row 2, and now to the part where it's really the only thing that could possibly confuse you, because it's really easy working with these charts. But so what you really just have to focus on is that it doesn't matter what color the box is. The only thing that you should focus on, is it empty or is there a double crochet? Is there a X there? So X is for double crochet, empty is for single crochet, and then you see the blue here. I just put the blue in to color in how, so you know what it's supposed to look like once you've crocheted it, yeah, to show you the pattern. But it's always just one color per row in Mosaic Crochet, which is actually one of my favorite things about Mosaic Crochet, is that you're only working with one color, but still can make all these beautiful patterns. So row 1 was white, as you can see here, color A, and then row 2 is blue, color B. And it's just the border stitch here at the beginning of the row, and then it's all blank boxes, so that's all single crochets, and then the border stitch at the end of the row. So I'm going to show you how to do that for row 2 here now. So the border stitch, and again I show you all this technique very slowly and thoroughly in the first lesson, so you can double back to that if you need some extra help with this. But the border stitch at the beginning of the row, then we work into both loops of our stitch, not like in the rest of it for Mosaic Crochet, because these 2 border stitches are really not part of the pattern. They kind of stand outside the pattern just to get the edges to be smoother. So insert your hook in the first stitch on the right, always from the right row, is starting from the right. If left-handed, then you start from the left and go right. So pull your yarn up, leave a bit of a tail, just like 5 centimeters, 2 inches. Do 1 chain to fasten it, and then 1 single crochet into both loops of this same first stitch of the row. So this is the border stitch at the beginning of the row, which is always the same. And then according to the chart, we're just going to be doing all single crochets in this row. And remember that in Mosaic Crochet, all the single crochet stitches go just into the back loop. You see, each stitch has 2 loops, the front one and the back one, and in Mosaic Crochet, all single crochet stitches must go only into the back loop, and that is to leave the front loop for our double crochet stitches later on. So row 2 of this first pattern of the Indiana is all just single crochets. So that's 1 border stitch at the beginning, and then we do 25 single crochets into the back loop, just of each and every stitch. Okay, 25. And now we're in the chart. We are here, you see, we've done 25 single crochets because it's all blank. And then we have the border stitch at the end of the row. And that's always worked the same way. Take care not to go into this chain here. That was just to fasten it. So it's the last single crochet of the row. That's the border stitch at the end of the row. Insert your hook onto both loops just to get a tighter and neater edge. Do 1 single crochet there. Cut the yarn and do 1 chain in the end here and just pull it all the way through, like so. And then you want to fasten it. Okay, so that was row 2. Just 1 border stitch at the beginning of the row, 25 single crochet stitches all into the back loops, so we're leaving these front loops here, you see, and then 1 border stitch at the end of the row. So that was row 2. On to row 3. And so I've already moved my post-it here. It's really handy to use a post-it to mark your row where you are, and I always like to put it on the top so that I see where my stitches are going. And so here you see that in row 2 we have some X's, and that means that there is a double crochet. So if I'm just going to read the chart with you here just before we start to show you, this is the row. We have row 3, then the border stitch at the beginning of the row, and then we have 2 blank boxes. And it doesn't matter that one is blue and one is white, it's just that they are blank, so it's 2 single crochet stitches here. And next come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double crochet stitches. And then again here, 3 single crochet stitches. Blue, white, what have you, they're all empty, so that's single crochet. And again, 9 double crochets, and then 2 single crochets here at the end, and the border stitch. So let's get to it. Again, now we're working with color A, which is white here. And we start the same as ever, always with the border stitch at the beginning of the row. Insert your hook under both loops, pull your yarn through, 1 chain, whoop, 1 chain and 1 single crochet into the same stitch. That's the border stitch. And then we had 3 single crochets. Oops, I'm just going to keep this here in. We have, no, sorry, 2, 1 and 2 single crochet stitches. So there's 1 here, and remember that the single crochets are always going into the back loop. 1 and 2. And then we had the 9 here double crochet stitches. And as you know from lesson 1 in Mosaic Crochet, double crochet stitches always go down 1 row. So you yarn over, check where your next stitch is from the last row, just to where you would normally go, and you go 1 row down into the front loop of that stitch there. And that's why we're always doing our single crochet stitches into the back loop to leave those front loops for a double crochet. And now I have here 9 double crochet stitches in a row. Yarn over, 1 row down into the front loop there, pull your yarn through, pull through 2 and pull through 2. Just a normal double crochet. The only thing that is a bit different is that we're going to down 1 row. And as you can see, the effect this makes is that we're covering up the blue with these double crochets. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that's now 9 double crochets, and they've covered up all the blue. Next up in the pattern, I've done these 9 here, and now it's 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then again 9. And yes, do take care when you're doing, especially when you're doing a lot of double crochets in a row like this here. So we have to take care that we're not increasing. We want the same stitch count throughout all the pattern. So it's good then when you're first starting, it kind of lines up perfectly, and you see here now that this is the next stitch that we're supposed to work into. Yep. Put this one here. It really does line up, but just to be sure, then check here on the back, and then there should be, because you did 9 double crochets here, there should be 9 stitches here behind that are not worked into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm going to be working into this one here. But as you can see, it really does line up perfectly, and you know, once you get used to it, you don't really have to be counting the back ones, but it's good in the beginning just to make sure. Okay, so next up are 3 single crochet stitches all into the back loop. And then another 9 double crochet. And again, you yarn over, you find the next stitch you would normally go into, and just follow that down and go into the one that is below it. 1, and they're all just going into each and every stitch. They're all in a row here. 4, 5, 6, 7, again, check that you have 9 stitches here behind, but it really does line up, you see. So it's really, it's quite obvious where you're supposed to go next. And now we finish this row with 2 single crochet stitches. Single crochet is always going into the back loop, and then the border stitch at the end of the row. Remember, we're not going to go into the chain. The last stitch is the last single crochet, and there's 1 single crochet there. Cut the yarn and 1 chain all the way through, just to make it nice and secure here. So that's row 3. We did the border stitch, we did 2 single crochets, and then 9 double crochets, 3 single crochets here, 9 double crochets, 2 single crochets, and then the border stitch. So that's round 3. On to round 4, row 4, sorry. So I've again moved my post-it here so that we can see, and let's just read the chart before we start. We have the border stitch at the beginning of the row, then we have 1 that is blank, that's a single crochet, and then we have 1 double crochet because there's an X there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 single crochet stitches. Again, just disregard if the box is blue or white, that doesn't matter. It's just the only thing you focus on, is there an X there, or is it a blank like this. So there are 9 single crochets, and then there is 1 double crochet, and you see here, that's also why I painted in, so you see where they go. This double crochet is going down 1 row, so it's going here. Then there's 1 blank, that's a single crochet, 1 double crochet down, and then again 9 single crochets here over all our double crochets from the last row, 1 double crochet, 1 single crochet, and the border stitch at the end of the row. Okay, so row 4, and now we're again working with color B. All the even number rows are color B, and all the odd number rows are color A. And A is the main color really, and B is the pattern color. So B is blue here, the pattern comes in blue. Okay, we insert our hook into both loops of the border stitch at the beginning of the row. Do 1 chain here to fasten, and then 1 single crochet into the same stitch, that's the border stitch. And now we had 1 single crochet, and that goes into the back loop here. And then we had 1 double crochet. And it's always really nice when you're doing it just with 2 colors, then you can see your double crochet stitches are always going into the same color as you have on your hook. So now I have here blue on my hook, so I know I'm going into one of these blue stitches here. And so you yarn over, now there's 1 double crochet. You yarn over, you find the stitch where you would normally go into, this one here, and you just follow it down, and it's this one here that we're going into. Yarn over, 1 down, pull the yarn through once, pull the yarn through 2, and pull the yarn through 2. So there's 1 double crochet. Next up are 9 single crochet stitches, and they're going over into all of the double crochet stitches from the last row. And just remember that all the single crochet stitches have to go into back loop only. That's very important. That's really the only thing you need to remember when working mosaic crochet. Okay, this was the 9th. And then here we're going to have 1 double crochet, 1 single crochet in the middle, and 1 double crochet here. So yarn over, go down here to this one, do your double crochet here, and then next one is 1 single crochet, and always take care to leave this 1 stitch here behind. You wouldn't want to work your single crochet into this one and then everything goes askew. So you have to take care that you're leaving this 1 stitch here behind without working into it, otherwise you will get both the pattern will go askew and you would be increasing, which we do not want to do. So you go into this one here, the middle one, 1 single crochet here, yarn over, and 1 DC here, and then 9 single crochets into all the 9 double crochets from last row. Eight and 9, And then to finish the row, we finish it the same way to mirror what we started. We do 1 double crochet here, and then 1 single crochet, and then the border stitch in both loops here. 1 single crochet, cutting the yarn, and doing 1 chain and pulling it all the way up, like so. Okay, so that was row 4. On to row 5. Let's start with the chart again, since this is what I want to be showing you here really, is how to work with my chart. So we see here now, I've moved the post-it one up. So we're on row 5. We start with 1 border stitch at the beginning of the row. Next is 1 X, so there's a double crochet there. And then there are 1, 2, 3 single crochet stitches. So these are all blank. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochet. 1, 2, 3 single crochet, 1 double crochet down here, 3 single crochet, 5 double crochet, 3 single crochet, and 1 double crochet. And then we finish with the border stitch at the end of the row. So as you can see, these charts really are very user friendly, or I do hope they are, because it's so nice to work with charts. I like working with visual charts rather than really written patterns. Okay, so row 5, that's an odd number row, so we're gonna do the main color again. I start with a border stitch at the beginning of the row, and then there was 1 double crochet. So row 5. I'm always so you're saying row 9. Dear Lord. Okay, so row 5 starts with a double crochet. So you yarn over, you find where the next stitch is, and you follow that one down here, and you go into white, because we have white on our hook, so we're gonna work the double crochet into a white stitch. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2, like so. So that's 1 double crochet. Next up are 3 single crochet stitches. So the first one lands here in the double crochet, and then 2 and 3. Okay, and now we have 5 double crochets, and then we yarn over and we go 1 row down like so, and do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Oh yeah, and one thing that I do get asked a lot, you see how they kind of open up here now, these stitches, when I'm working them. But don't worry, this will all just, it will even itself out when we continue. You see, when I'm not working them, they kind of lie down like that. Okay, so that was 5 double crochet stitches. Then next up are 3 single crochets. 1, always into the back loop, 2, and 3. And now we're to the middle part here, and then we do 1 double crochet here in the middle, in between the 2 DCs from last row, down to here. 1 DC there, and then again 3 single crochets, 2 and 3, and 5 double crochets. That was the 5th, and now we do 3 single crochets here, and that's the end of our second repeat. And then we have 1 extra stitch here at the end so that it mirrors the beginning. So we do 1 double crochet here at the end, and then there is the border stitch at the end of the row, always into both loops of the last single crochet of the row, like so. And then cut the yarn and do 1 chain here and pulling it all the way up just to secure here at the end. Okay, so as you can see, the pattern is emerging, and this is really the whole trick with mosaic crochet. If you did the first lesson with me, then you can remember that we were doing the Apache tiers, and in the Apache tiers, then you always have just one double crochet. We never have many double crochets in a row, so that will make that one here. But then the magic of mosaic crochet is that you can really just make any pattern you want, because with these double crochet stitches you're always hiding the blue behind, and so you can it's incredibly versatile. So as you can see here now, our pattern is sort of emerging, and that was row 5. On to row 6. Let's look at the chart first before we start. So I moved the post-it up again. So here we have row 6, and there's the border stitch at the beginning of the row. Then we have 1, 2, 3 blank, and that's 3 single crochets, then 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, 1 double, 5 single, 1 double, and 3 single crochets, and then the border stitch at the end of the row. Okay, so let's get to it. This is row 6, so that's even number row, and that's the pattern color again, and obviously it's always just white, blue, white, blue. You're always doing it striped. And so we start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row, 1 chain and 1 single crochet into the same, and always into both loops there because that's not part of the pattern. And now we start by doing 3 single crochet stitches, and these always go into the back loop, 2 and 3, and then we do 1 single crochet, and we just follow that one here around. So this is the one that you would usually go into, and you just follow it down and go into this one here, like so. And then you do 5 single crochet over all the double crochets from the last row. That's the 5th, see? And then there's 1 double crochet, and that one goes down here, whoop up, like so. Another 5 single crochet stitches, and then there's another DC here, and then you yarn over and go down to the blue. Okay, and then there are 5 single crochets, and now we do 1 double crochet, and to finish the repetition we do 2 single crochets, and then we add 1 here at the end to get the symmetry. So that's 3 here in the end, at the end, and then we do the border stitch at the end of row. And the last chain just to fasten it, like so. So that's row 6. Oh, and one thing that I usually get this question when people start working patterns that have a lot of DCs in a row, like these here, then you do get these sort of like pockets from behind, but don't worry, this is all correct, and I will make a mental note of showing you this now in the intro, how they look from the back. You won't really, you kind of notice it's a lot now, kind of looks like little pockets here, but once you have the whole, no, I have it here, I can show you, haha. So once you have it all worked, then it doesn't, if I like pull at it, then you can see them. But once you've blocked it, you won't really notice. And then you sort of just get, you can see sort of from from some angles you can see it, but it's all good. So that's just to reassure you that this is quite correct the way it is. It's supposed to look like this from the back. And this is the front. So this was row 6. And on we go on to row 7. This little pattern has 13 rows, just if you were wondering. Okay, so let's start by reading the chart here. This is the border stitch at the beginning of the row. Then there are 2 blank ones, so that's 2 single crochets, 1 X, so that's 1 double crochet that goes down, 1, 2, 3 single crochets, 1 double crochet going down, 1, 2, 3 single crochets, double crochet down, 3 single crochets. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's blue or white, it's just that they're empty, so that's single crochets, double crochet, 3 single crochets, double crochet, 3 singles, double, and then 2 here at the end, and then the border stitch. Okay, easy peasy. And as you can see, this is matching what's happening here. So this here, you see this here is what's happening here. Okay, so on we go on to row 7, and we're using the main color again here, white. And as always, we start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row, 1 chain and 1 single crochet into the same stitch, and then next up come 2 single crochet stitches. So that's 1 here, always into the back loop, you guys, and 2, and now we have 1 double crochet, and we're working with white, so we know we're going down to the white here. And then there are 3 single crochets. 1, the first one goes into the double crochet, and 2, and 3. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet, and that one lands in the middle one of the 5 DCs from the second to last row, like so. This is a symmetrical pattern, so it's you know, sort of the kind of pattern that kind of leads you on. That was 1 double crochet there, and then we do 3 single crochets. The last one lands here in the double crochet, and now we do 1 double crochet going down into the white, 3 single crochets. So you can hear this, the repetition here is always 3 single crochets and 1 double crochet. And then there's 1 double crochet, and that one goes down here. Again, 3 singles, first one in the double crochet. And now we're back to the middle here, to the center of these 5 here. And so we're going to do 1 double crochet into the center one. And again, 3 single crochets, always into the back loop, and then there's 1 double crochet, and that one goes down here, and then we finish with 2 single crochets, like so. And then there's the border stitch at the end of the row, always into both loops there, just so that the edge is a bit neater and sturdier. And 1 chain, whoop, all the way up and tighten it. Okay, so that was row 7. On to row 8. And as you can see here, this is what's happening. It looks the same. Yeah. And I'm going to read the chart with you, each row. So we start row 8 here with the border stitch, and then the repeat is 1 single crochet here, 1 double crochet, 1, 2, 3 single crochets, double crochet, single, double, 3 single crochets, and then 1 double crochet. And then there's another repeat the same, and then we finish and add 1 extra single crochet here in the end. Remember that this column here is the extra stitch to get it to be symmetrical with the beginning. Yeah, and then we have the border stitch at the end of the row. Okay, let's get to it. Now we're using the pattern color again. It's even numbers, and last row we used white, so this one we use the blue. Border stitch at the beginning of the row as always. Every row starts and ends the same exact way. And now we have one single crochet, one double crochet, and that one goes down here. And then we have 3 single crochet stitches. The first one goes here into the double crochet, 1 and 2 and 3. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet here on this side of this double crochet, a single crochet into this one, and then another double crochet here on this side. So we're kind of framing this one up. So double crochet here, single crochet into the double crochet, and then another double crochet on the other side. Okay, and now we have 3 single crochet stitches. The last one lands here in the double crochet, and now we're going to do again double, single, double. So yarn over, do 1 double crochet here, single crochet in the middle, and double crochet again. Okay, and now the second repeat. 1, 2, 3 single crochets. The first one was in the double crochet here, and then we yarn over and we're going to do a double crochet here, single crochet into the double crochet, and another double on the other side. So again, we're framing this one up here. And now we do 3 single crochets. The last one lands here in the double, and then we do 1 double crochet, and that was the last part of the repeat. And then the extra stitch here now is 1 single crochet here, and then the border stitch. That's row 8, and now we're kind of getting, you're seeing the little wavy lines here, the zigzags. On to row 9. Let's check out the chart. I'll move the post-it up here. So here we have row 9. We start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row. Then there's 1 double crochet that goes down here. 1, 2, 3 single crochets, a double, 3 singles, 1 double, 3 singles, and we repeat this again, and then we have 1 double crochet here at the end and the border stitch. Yeah, and row 9, like all odd number rows, are with the main color, which I'm using white here. And we start as before with the border stitch at the beginning of the row, 1 chain, 1 single crochet into the same stitch, and now the first stitch of this repeat here now is a double crochet. So we yarn over, go down 1 row here into the white, do 1 double crochet, and now there are 3 single crochet stitches, 1, 2 and 3. The first one was in the DC, and then 2 and 3, and now we do 1 double crochet here just before this one, and then 1 single crochet goes into the first DC here from the last row, 2, and the third single crochet here in the second one. And now again we do 1 double crochet, and then 3 single crochets, and that's 1 repeat done then. And then we do it again, 1 double crochet goes here in between these two, and then we have 3 single crochets, the first one into the DC, 3, and then 1 double crochet here before the first DC, 3 single crochets, over these here. The first one is in the DC and the third one is in the DC as well, and then we do 1 double crochet down here, and now we do 3 single crochets. The third one lands in the DC, and then the extra stitch here at the end of the row after the repeat is a double crochet here. And then we do the border stitch. And 1 chain and pulling it all the way up. Okay, so that's row 9. On to row 10. Let's look at the chart first. So this here is row 10, and we start with the border stitch. Then there are 3 blank ones, so that's 3 single crochets, 1 double crochet here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet stitches, 1 double crochet, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single, 1 double, 5 single, 1 double, and then 3 single here, and then the border stitch at the end of the row. Okay, and as we can see always at the border stitch here, we can see the color we're using. So I'm using the pattern color now, the blue, as in all the even number rows. So we start as always before with the border stitch at the beginning of the row. And then we proceed and do 3 single crochet stitches. The first one lands here in the double crochet, and then 2 and 3. And then we do 1 double crochet here just before the last double crochet. Okay, and now we do 5 single crochets over these here. So the first one lands here in the double crochet, and the 5th one as well. Okay, so that's 5 single crochets here, and now we do another double crochet down here to the blue. And now we're going to do 5 single crochets in a row. 1 and 2, and the third one should land here in the double crochet here in the middle. 4 and 5. And then there's another double crochet here just before the next double crochet. And again 5 here over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The first one was in the first double crochet, and the 5th one here in the second one. And then we do 1 double crochet and finish with 3 single crochet stitches. The last one goes into the double crochet here, and then we do the border stitch at the end of the row. Cut the yarn and do 1 chain and pull it through. Okay, so now you can clearly see that the pattern is showing and coming through. So that was row 10. On we go to row 11, and let's start by looking at the chart. So in row 11 we start with the border stitch, then there are 3 double crochet stitches here, 3 single crochet, 1 double crochet, 3 single, and then 5 double crochets, 3 single, 1 double, 3 single, and then 3 double crochet here at the end, and then the border stitch. Yeah? And now we're working with the main color, with the white here, color A. And as always, we start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row, 1 chain, 1 single crochet into both loops of the first stitch. And now we start by working, now we're kind of going starting to close off the pattern. So now we're going to be working more double crochets in a row again. And now we're going to do 3 double crochets here. So yarn over, the first one goes into a double crochet from the row below, 2 rows below, sorry, 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, and next up are 3 single crochet stitches. The first one goes here into the double crochet, always into the back loop, 2 and 3, and now we do 1 double crochet here in the middle. It's supposed to be centered between these 2 here. Another 3 single crochets, 1 and 2, and the third one lands in the double crochet here, like so. And now we're going to do 5 double crochets here to cover all of this up here. So the first one goes here into the stitch just after the DC. 1, 2, the third one goes into the DC. 3, no 4, sorry, and the 5th. So that's 5 DCs in a row there. And then we're going to do 3 single crochets. The first one here into the back loop of the double crochet. 3, and again we're going to do 1 double crochet here in the middle that is centered between these 2. So, and then 3 single crochets. The last one goes into the double crochet, and then we finish with 3 double crochet like we did at the beginning, so that it's mirrored. 1 and 2 and 3. The last one goes into a double crochet. Whoop. So, and then there's the border stitch at the end of the row. And 1 chain and pulling it all the way up, like so. As you can see, we're almost there. The pattern is emerging. Yay, such fun. So that was round the row 11. On to row 12, it's just 2 more rows and then we finish. So let's look at the chart. And so this is row 12, that's an even number of rows, so that's blue, that's with the pattern color. And we start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches of single crochets, then a double crochet, single crochet, and a double. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 single crochet stitches, 1 double crochet, 1 single, 1 double, and finish it with 5 single crochet and then the border stitch. Yeah. And we start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row, as always. Chain 1 just to fasten it, and 1 single crochet into the same one. And now we have 5 single crochet stitches, and the first one goes here in the first DC, from last row. 1 and 2 and 3 into all the DCs from last row, and then a couple more, 4 and 5. And now we're going to frame this one up here. We're going to do 1 double crochet on this side and 1 double crochet on this side. So we yarn over into 1 double crochet here, 1 single crochet into the double crochet, 1 double crochet on the other side. So we've done 1 on each side here, and now we have 9 single crochet stitches. First into these 2 single crochets from the last row, and then over these 5. So the 7th lands here in the last DC of the 5 DCs we made in the last row, and 8 and 9. Whoop. And then we're going to frame this one up as well. 1 DC here and 1 DC here. So 1 DC before the double crochet, 1 single crochet into the back loop of the double crochet, and then 1 DC here on this side as well. And then we finish with 5 single crochets. 4 and 5, and then the border stitch at the end of the row. And 1 chain to fasten it. Whoop. Okay, so now we're almost there. Just 1 more row to go. On to row 13, which is the final row of this pattern. Let's look at the chart as always. So we're working now with the main color, white, and we start with the border stitch. Then we do 5 double crochet stitches here, 3 single crochets, 9 double crochets, 3 single crochets, and 5 double crochets, and then always the border stitch at the end of the row. And now we are kind of closing off the pattern. So as you can see, Mosaic crochet is so effective this way that you can really just make up any pattern you like. And you're always using these double crochet stitches then to hide the blue. This is kind of filling here, you see? So now we're going to hide these lines here because we don't want those. We just want these here that are the pattern, right? Okay, last row of this pattern. Start with the border stitch at the beginning of the row, and then we're going to do 5 double crochet stitches, and the first one lands here in the first double crochet stitch from row 11. 1, 2, 3. These first 3 go here into the double crochet stitches, and then there's 2 more, 4 and 5. And now we're going to do 3 single crochets. First one goes into the double crochet, and the third one into the other double crochet here. And now we do 9 double crochets here to hide this blue line here. The first one goes here just after the double crochet from the last row. 2, and then all over these. So the third DC lands in the first DC here from row 11. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. See, now we've covered it all up. And these lines we want to keep, so I'm gonna do 3 single crochets now. 1 and 2 and 3. And then we're gonna cover this up here with 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5. And then just finish it with the border stitch as always. And 1 chain. There you go. And as you can see, it looks just like our chart. I'm gonna go wide here. There we go. Yeah, so easy. And I mean, I try to do all my patterns with charts if I possibly can. Sometimes it's a bit too complicated and then I'm not able to, but almost all my patterns come with a chart because they really are very user-friendly. And even if you're not used to working with charts, I think these should really, well, as you can see, they are very easy to work with. And it just all is so clear and easy when you work with them. Well, I love to work with charts anyway, so that's why I wanted to show you guys. So that's it. That's the end of our second lesson of my mosaic guide for beginners, how to work with charts. And you could use this pattern. This is the pattern 1 from my Indiana afghan, like I showed you, but you could use just this pattern to make something. You do more repetitions of it and make a blanket or a cushion cover or what have you. Okay, I hope this was helpful. And again, if you have any input or you want to make any suggestions, please do make some comments, and I love to hear from you guys in comments what you want and all your nice ideas. That's it for today. Thanks.